की जय। अवतार मेहर बाबा की जय। We will begin today's program with beloved Baba's prayers.
हे परवरदिगार, सबके राखनहार और सबकी रक्षा करने वाले, तुम्हारा कोई आदि नहीं है और ना तुम्हारा कोई अंत है। तुम अद्वैत हो, तुम तुलना से परे हो और तुम्हारा पार कोई नहीं पा सकता है। तुम्हारा कोई रंग और कोई रूप नहीं है। तुम आविर्भाव से रहित हो और तुम गुणातीत हो। तुम अपार हो और अगाध हो, कल्पना और धारणा से परे हो, शाश्वत और अनश्वर हो। तुम अखंडनीय हो और दिव्य नेत्रों के सिवाय और किसी भी प्रकार से तुम्हें कोई नहीं देख सकता है। तुम्हारा अस्तित्व सदैव था, तुम सदैव रहते हो और तुम सदैव रहोगे। तुम सर्वत्र हो, तुम हर वस्तु में हो और तुम हर जगह से परे तथा हर वस्तु से परे भी हो। तुम आकाश में हो और पाताल में हो, तुम व्यक्त हो और अव्यक्त हो। तुम सब लोकों पर हो और समस्त लोकों से परे भी हो। तुम तीनों भुवनों में हो और तीनों भुवनों से परे भी हो। तुम अगोचर हो और स्वतंत्र हो। तुम सृष्टि के रचने वाले हो, स्वामियों के स्वामी हो, समस्त मनों और हृदयों के ज्ञाता हो। तुम सर्वशक्तिमान हो और सर्वव्यापी हो। तुम अनंत ज्ञान हो, अनंत शक्ति हो और अनंत आनंद हो। तुम ज्ञान के महासागर हो, सर्वज्ञ हो, अनंत ज्ञान रखने वाले हो। तुम भूत, वर्तमान और भविष्य के ज्ञाता हो और तुम स्वयं ज्ञान हो। तुम पूर्ण दयामय हो और सदैव परहितकारी हो। तुम आत्माओं की आत्मा हो और अनंत गुणों से संपन्न एक परमात्मा हो। तुम सत्य, ज्ञान और परमानंद की त्रिमूर्ति हो। तुम सत्य के मूल हो, प्रेम के महासागर हो। तुम सनातन सत्ता हो, ऊंचों में सबसे ऊंचे हो। तुम प्रभु और परमेश्वर हो। तुम परब्रह्म हो और परात्पर परब्रह्म भी हो। तुम परब्रह्म परमात्मा हो, अल्लाह हो, इलाही हो, यज़दान हो, अहुरमज़्द हो और प्रियतम ईश्वर हो। तुम्हारा नाम इज़्ज़त अर्थात एकमात्र पूज्य है। हे असीम दया के निधि प्रभुराज, हम अपने सब पापों के लिए पश्चाताप करते हैं। हर एक विचार के लिए जो असत्य, अनुचित या गंदा था, हर एक बोले हुए शब्द के लिए जिसे बोलना हमें उचित न था, और हर एक कर्म के लिए जिसे करना हमें उचित न था। स्वार्थ से प्रेरित हर एक कर्म, शब्द और विचार के लिए तथा द्वेष प्रेरित हर एक कर्म, शब्द और विचार के लिए हम पश्चाताप करते हैं। विशेषकर हर एक कामुक विचार तथा क्रिया के लिए, ऐसे हर एक वचन के लिए जिसको हमने पूरा नहीं किया, और सभी निंदा, पाखंड, दंभ या लोगों के पीछे उनके दोष बताने के लिए हम अनुताप करते हैं। खास दूसरों का नाश करने वाले हर एक कर्म के लिए, दूसरों को दुख देने वाले हर एक शब्द तथा कर्म के लिए तथा दूसरों पर दुख गिरने की इच्छा करने के लिए हम अनुताप करते हैं। हे प्रभुराज, आप हम पर असीम दया करके हमारे ये किए हुए पापों को क्षमा कीजिए और वैसे ही आपकी मर्जी के अनुसार विचार करने में, बोलने में तथा कार्य करने में जो हमारी असमर्थता सदा रहती आई है, उसको भी क्षमा कीजिए। यही हमारी आपसे प्रार्थना है। आमीन। प्रियतम परमात्मा, हमारी ऐसी सहायता कर कि हम तुझसे अधिक प्रेम करें, और अधिक और फिर भी उससे भी अधिक प्रेम करें, जब तक कि हम तुझ में मिलकर एक हो जाने के पात्र बन जाए। और तू हम सबकी ऐसी सहायता कर कि हम अंत तक प्रियतम बाबा का दामन दृढ़ता से पकड़े रहे। अवतार मेहर बाबा की जय, अवतार मेहर बाबा की जय, अवतार मेहर बाबा की जय।
बोलो अवतार मेहर बाबा की जय, अवतार मेहर बाबा की जय, अवतार मेहर बाबा की जय। ओके, जोर से बोलिए अवतार मेहर बाबा की जय। Okay, we are very privileged, happy to have Framroze Mistry Falu over here, chairman of the Avatar Meher Baba Perpetual Public Charitable Trust, and we have Gopi with us back again for the second visit. So warm welcome on behalf of everybody at the center. And today is a special day for all of us. जो सालों से हमारी इच्छा रही है कि the center expands, has more space. Finally, by the grace of beloved Baba, that has been accomplished and fulfilled, and we are deeply, deeply grateful to our eternal beloved Avatar Meher Baba for having his nazar always on this center. This is his center, this belongs to him, and we are eternally grateful to beloved Baba, and therefore, may I, with everybody's kind permission, and my request is please remain seated. You can watch the proceedings in the next room on the screen here. We will not crowd it. I would request Falubhai, Gopi, Hoshang uncle, Avovi auntie, Jimmy uncle to please, Sam, please come over to the next door flat. We'll formally cut the ribbon and dedicate the next door flat to our eternal beloved Avatar Meher Baba. Boli Avatar Meher Baba ki Boli Avatar Meher Baba ki Avatar Meher Baba ki Avatar Meher Baba ki welcome. Come on. Come on. अवतार मेहर बाबा की जय, अवतार मेहर बाबा की जय, अवतार मेहर बाबा की जय।
For this beautiful gift of
मेहर बाबा की जय। Jai Baba, everybody. Thank you very much for being here, and again a warm welcome to Falubhai, to Gopi, and to all of you, and also big thank you to Mehrnaz. Is Mehrnaz there? Mehrnaz and Mehrangis. Mehrnaz is here. Mehrnaz, thank you very much. Mehrangis, thank you very much for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, before I hand over the mic to Falubhai to speak today, as I was mentioning at the beginning, this new adjacent property that we have acquired has been a long cherished dream of the center, of its board of trustees in the past, as well as the current board of trustees. We have been wanting to have more space, and by Baba's grace, finally during the COVID months, the owner of this particular property came forward and he was ready to negotiate, and we finalized the entire transaction somewhere around September of 2024. So it's a very recent development, and most of you may not know this, but we have been on this project for more than 30 to 40 years, if I am not mistaken. And this would not have been possible without the most loving contribution that came from our dearest Jaluji and our Dolly auntie, who contributed a very significant amount of money in the memory of our late Firoz engineer or Fila, who was the trustee and treasurer of this center and who worked for so many years. So now as I look back, Baba first ensured that we built the right corpus for acquisition. And if you know, Mumbai के अंदर जो land के prices है या जो real estate prices are always going up. So Baba first ensured that a corpus was kept ready. When we started this process of acquisition, our corpus was very low. But with this donation, and I would really like to thank from the bottom of our heart our dearest Jaluji. We miss him today, our dearest Dolly auntie, and it would not be outside my remit to say that Jaluji and Dolly auntie have been an integral part of this center. They started their journey of Baba's service from our center and then went over to Mehrabad. So जालू जी आज हमारे साथ यहाँ पर नहीं है, उनकी तबीयत ठीक नहीं है, बट डॉली आंटी बाबा के पास है, मगर उन दोनों को मैं सलाम करता हूँ, धन्यवाद कहता हूँ. और मेरंगीज़ और मेरनाज जालू जी की जो नीसेस है उनको भी मैं बहुत थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर bearing with us and all the support that both of you have given us as we have gone about this entire process. Thank you Baba, thank you very much. Before we proceed, everybody would be aware that on the 14th of March, our dear Rajendra Murthy went to beloved Baba while he was there in Mehrabad. Rajendra Murthy हमारे सेंटर के बहुत पुराने सदस्य, हम लोगों के साथ बहुत लंबा उस संबंध रहा है और हर साल अमर तिथि में सेंटर की तरफ से वॉलेंटियर के रूप में जाते थे. इस बार उनकी उम्र 70 हो गई थी, तो मैंने उनको बोला था कि ये आखिरी साल है, अगले साल आप वॉलेंटियर के रूप में नहीं जा पाओगे. तो उसने कहा वो देखेंगे, वो तुम कैसे तय कर सकते हो, बाबा तय करेंगे. और बाबा ने वो अपना हिसाब दे दिया. हमारे राजेंद्र मूर्ति को याद करते हुए वी विल ऑल रिमेन सीटेड फॉर अ मिनट in his remembrance and observe a minute's silence. अवतार मेहर बाबा की जय. बोलो अवतार मेहर बाबा की जय. बाबा अपनी नज़र उसके ऊपर हमेशा बनाए रखे, यही हम लोग सब बाबा से प्रार्थना करते हैं. We'll move forward to today's session. We have Falu Bhai with us. He is visiting this center after many decades. We were chatting as we came here, and I just asked him, when was the last you visited the center? Although he's from Mumbai, but as everybody knows, he is settled in Merazad and dedicated his entire life to beloved Baba's cause, so he doesn't remember. But जैसे कहते हैं, देर आए दुरुस्त आए, most welcome. His family has had a very long and cherished association with beloved Baba, and I would request him to please come over, share that very long association. After he completes talking about his experiences and that of his family, he would also like to spend some time talking about the activities of the Avatar Meher Baba Trust in Ahmednagar, followed by Brother Gopi giving us a short presentation. The trust in Ahmednagar has been going through very difficult times, and that is the reason why they would like to also share the work that is currently happening and the help and support that we as Baba lovers can provide them as we go forward. So I would, without any further ado, Falu Bhai, all yours, please.
Avatar Meher Baba ki jai. It's a great privilege and an opportunity for me to be here today with you all, celebrating Baba's 131st birthday. Baba is with us, present here with us. He's in our hearts always. I'll start with a little story about this center, which happened a long time ago. My mother recalls that the first meetings were held at Sorabji Sikanporia's place in the 50s. I was a very small kid at that time, but I have flashes of memory of going there. And there were hardly 2 or 3 people, including Mr. Sorabji, his wife, and a few others. And each time they would meet, Sorabji would say, "Oh, nobody is coming. I wish there were more people coming." And so he wrote to Baba. He wrote to Baba complaining that nobody is attending the center. So Baba says, why are you complaining and why are you bothered with the numbers? If 2 people gather in my name, I am there. It is as if I'm physically there. So don't worry about the numbers, they will come. And today we can see from where to where we are today. The center has grown. His love spreads all throughout the world. Okay, so it would be remiss of me if I were to not mention the reason why my entire family came to Baba and not citing the person who was responsible for it. And that is my granduncle, Framroze Mistry. He was the first one to meet Baba in the family. He was a simple man, very naive. He lost his wife to his best friend. He lost his business because he signed blankly on papers and the partner took everything away from him. He thought, I might as well end my life. There's no purpose for my continuing any further. So he decided to commit suicide. On Chowpatty Beach, he was sitting there waiting for the night to fall so that he would walk into the sea and end it all. And along came Baba with Naval Talati walking on the beach. And from afar, Baba is watching this man seated alone and is asking Naval Talati, go find out who he is. So he goes, Naval goes, approaches Chanji, as he was called by Baba later on. And as Naval is approaching Chanji, he recognizes him because they were friends. And he says, what are you doing here, sitting all by yourself? He says, no, I'm just sitting and taking the breeze. So he says, come, Meher Baba is here and he wants to talk to you. So Chanji goes and meets Baba for the first time. Baba's personality was overwhelming for him. He was struck by his beauty, by his personality. And Baba is saying to Chanji, you do one thing, you come and meet me tomorrow. There's not much of a conversation. Come and meet me tomorrow at this place. And Baba and Naval Talati continue to walk. Now Chanji is left standing there saying, what am I to do? I came here to take my life. and he's drawn by Baba. He says, "Let me go tomorrow, meet him, and then maybe I'll end my life afterwards." So the next day he goes and meets Baba. From that point on, there was no turning back for him. He was completely, he had fallen for Baba. Baba told him, do one thing, dispose of everything that you have, whatever you have and whatever connections you have here, and come and join me. And this was in the year 1923-24. No, in 24, I think he joined Baba in Mehrabad. So it must have happened somewhere in 1923. So he disposed of everything and came to Baba. And from that day on, he was Baba's first secretary. You know, taking down correspondence, helping wherever he can. He was the one who used to go and arrange for all the trips that Baba made in the early years in 1920s. Iran, abroad, to Europe. He would come from Hyderabad, come to Bombay, do the bookings for the ships, hotel, all arrangements made by him, and then he would go back, collect Baba, and bring him to Bombay. Before, I missed the point before. In 1926, one day, Framroze Mistry, he brought his brother Nauroji, Bachamai, Arnavaz, the daughter, Nargish and Rhoda. Timton was just a little baby, and he brought them to Mehrabad to meet Baba for the first time. That's my grandfather, Nauroji. So in 1926, they met Baba. Baba was in a small room, which is what is today a Mandli Hall, but that was redone. But they were in a small room and they met Baba. Baba met them very lovingly. They all immediately fell in love with Baba, the whole family. Baba said, go and rest in the post office, have lunch, come meet me again, and then go back. At that time, Nauroji was in Pune. He was a contractor in Pune, and he, when Chanji brought him to Baba, he also brought Meherji for the first time. Meherji was a student. So Meherji and Nauroji and his family all came together to Baba for the first time and met Baba in Mehrabad. After they went back, Baba used to visit Bombay, and whenever he visited Bombay, he would at that time stay at Nauroji's place. Firstly, in Rustambag, all those trips earlier on, Baba would make, and he would come back. He would stop over at Nauroji's place. They would vacate the entire house and let Baba and the Mandlis stay there. Bachamai would spread her saris on the floor so that Baba's bedding roll could be put. And Baba would say, why are you putting the saris? Beautiful saris on the floor. Baba, saris can always be washed. You sleep on them. So his bedding roll would be kept on these saris, and he would stay there with his mandli. Each time he would come back from these trips, my mother remembers once that he came back from Iran, and he's telling these little girls, Arnavaz, Nargish, and my mother was the youngest and very young. He brought this tokri of dry fruits, and he said. He started distributing to everybody. And these little daughters of Navroji, they had tiny hands to hold. So Baba would say, come on, put your frocks up like this, make a joli out of your frocks. And then he would pour these vast amounts of dry fruits into the frocks. It's it's quite the metaphor or the a figure of speech in the sense that he comes to give us the ocean, but we don't have the capacity to catch it, expand our hearts to receive of his divine love. Very much like we need to expand our jolies to receive of his love. So in the early years, Baba would come. His Mandli from the west, when they came, also stayed with them in Rustam Bagh. Then later on, at Baban Lodge, they moved to Baban Lodge, and that's where they stayed. And Baba visited Baban Lodge a lot also. Mehrangi is here. She now occupies that flat, a very a mother-in-law over there. She occupies the flat. Yeah. She's the owner. Yeah. But they are really fortunate to have that flat because Baba stayed there many, many, many times. This was before Ashiana, where Baba stayed with Arnavas and Nani Mandara Chanji. And those were beautiful years when Baba would call them to Mehrabad. They would spend sometimes weeks, sometimes days. The Baba, when he came to Bombay and would board a ship, my mother recalls that they would go to the mole. What is that? Mole pier, where the ships, Bella pier. So they would go up and down the ships, and they would stand on the pier waiting for the ship to sail, and the ship they would wait on the pier until the ship disappeared into the horizon. And Baba would be waving out to them from the deck, and they would be waving out from the pier. So those were the early years. Baba, when Janji would leave Baba in Mehrabad and come to Bombay, he would always be traveling by train, third class compartments, never with a reservation. It would be he would have a bedding roll and would be sitting outside the toilet most of the times, typing away on his typewriter. He would come to Navroji's place, tired, exhausted. 14-hour trips. That time it was not like today when you made a trip to Mehrabad in 5.5 hours. 14 hours, 16 hours, 18 hours on a train. And he would be sitting outside on a bedding roll, always typing. He would be taking shorthand notes with Baba, and then he would translate it into his diary, what became his diaries. He would come back exhausted, hungry and thirsty, and he would ask Bachamai, please cook something for me. He would not spend Baba's money, not even on a cup of tea. So he would come back late in the nights, hungry and thirsty. She would cook him food. He would mole station. That was what I was looking for, the word mole station. Okay. So Baba used to call them often to Mehrabad. Sometimes once he called my grandfather to Toka. And in Toka, very primitive conditions were there. Baba had his mad ashram, mas ashram, a dispensary, and Navroji remembers going there and This was one of the earliest experiences he had with Baba. And he wrote this little incident down, which I'll read to you because it is written in his language and it is very beautiful and touching of his first experience with Baba living in an ashram. So, uh, I will read this out to you, and he says, I had been ill in Bombay for a long time with fever and dysentery, and long medical treatment had not improved my health. I was called by Baba to Toka through late brother Chanji. I was not fit enough to travel the long distance from Bombay to Ahmednagar and from there to Toka, a distance of 40 miles, by bus from Ahmednagar. However, I gathered courage from the thought of having received an invitation from Baba and the joy of meeting him. I left Bombay and reached Toka the next evening. Whilst inquiring about Baba's ashram, I was met by Brother Ramju. Baba's ashram could be reached by crossing a river in a boat. Ramju went in and informed Baba of my arrival in the Prem ashram, where all could not go in. Chanji came out where I was waiting and took me to the long hut where I settled down with the other inmates of the men Manli. Next morning, Baba came there on his daily rounds. When he looked after every detail minutely, gave orders for the working of the daily affairs and visiting the school, the kitchen, the ashram. When he met me, he inquired after my health and prescribed to the man in charge my afternoon and evening meals. I was ordered to have 4 drops of eucalyptus oil and sugar first thing in the morning, morning tea with wheat chapatis, and a big glass full of milk with wheat chapatis for my afternoon and evening meals. This food did not suit me and aggravated my complaint. I had more stomach pains and during the night would have to visit the toilet often. It was a frightening experience to have to go out into the jungle in pitch darkness with a lantern in one hand and an umbrella in the other as it was raining. On top of that, there was the constant fear of being bitten by a scorpion or a serpent. It was one hell of an experience, but I did not complain to Baba. After about 3 to 4 days, however, when Baba was on his daily morning rounds, I said to him, Baba, this food does not seem to be suitable for me and has aggravated my complaint. Rice will suit me. Baba said, all right, eat rice, and went away. After some time, he sent Chanji with his order to tell me to clear away from the place and return back to Bombay. It was a great shock to me and I was very upset. My brother said, you should not have made suggestions about the change of food, though made inadvertently. Did Baba not know what was good for you or otherwise? He then returned to Baba, asked him about my reaction to his order. Chanji informed him about the reaction caused and begged of him to pardon me. He, in his unbounded love and kindness, sent him back to tell me that he had forgiven me and that I should stay where I was, not to worry at all about what he had said, to forget everything and be happy. I had been preparing to leave when Chanji appeared with the good news from Baba. My diet was once again changed by him, and I began improving day after day. After about a fortnight, I was told to return to Bombay. On reaching Bombay, I was told to collect a stock of the special medicine which had been given to me and which was supposed to be very efficacious from the Bombay market. I inquired at the drug market in Bombay, Some of the shops had no stock and were not even acquainted with the name of the medicine. Those who knew about it said that the medicine was prohibited to be imported by the government, being spurious and inefficacious. I wrote to Baba that I had been told by the merchants. I was astonished by that and began to realize the wonderful ways of the Master to create and stabilize my faith and love amongst his devotees for him. So, this was his first introduction to being with Baba in the Manvisa ashram. And then there were many more opportunities given by him for him and his family to be with him. In one of the trips that my mother recalls being in Mehrabad for several weeks, she remembers one thing which struck her was the walks that they had with Baba on the hill. You know, the times they would spend under the shed, the evening aartis they would have, all the women mandli being there. The call that would be made, they would ring a bell and said, everybody, and then everybody would gather under the tin shed. Those were the days when many of the Westerners also stayed with Baba. And they would come down to dinner dressed in the finery, beautiful gowns, jewelry, necklaces and earrings and high heels. And they would sit down around Baba and eat in tin plates and tin mugs. And the contrast of that life that they had in the West and what they were now living with Baba, and joyfully that too, made a big impression on my mother. Look at the sacrifice they're making to be with him, and they would be as happy as if they were living in a castle and sitting at a banquet. So all these beautiful times that they had over there, Baba would often ask money to perform plays, and Carmen Masi, one of the elderly women who lived with them, money would make them laugh so much and so hard that she, being an elderly woman, would laughing hard, would pee in her pants. And Baba picked that up and told, now everybody, money is going to perform, control yourself and don't laugh so hard that you would pee like Carmen Masi did the last time. So this is how that simple life in Mehrabad was. And the whole family, Arnavas, Navroji, Bacha, my Arnavas, my Nargish, my mother, and then later on the boys, but that was much later. My mother also remembers the time they spent in this Banu Lodge, which is across Manzile Mim. And because Baba's mother was being troubled in Pune by the Parsi community especially, Baba decided that he would send his mother to Bombay, to live in Bombay for 6 months. A change of scenery. So he asked Navroji to find a place, and Navroji says, "Oh, this cabin is available next to our house, and it would suit her very well." So she, Mani, Parinmai, and Behram came and stayed next to this Banu Lodge, which was exactly opposite Manzilemim. And my mother was a young girl at that time, and they would play in the garden over there, and every time they would come and want to play, Shrinmai would be on the veranda and say, "Hey, chokri, meow. Oh, girl, come here, press my feet." And my mother would say, "Oh God," instead of getting to play with the other children, she had to press her feet. And this went on day after day. She was trying to avoid Shirinmai, but she was uh, very astute. Shirinmai was very astute and would call her and make her press her feet. Later on in life, she realized how fortunate she was. At that time, at that time, you don't appreciate what you have. Even for all of us who met him and were with him and had ample opportunities of being with him, the at the back of your minds, he was God. He was always God in human form, but but we took him to be a grandfather, an uncle, as or a family member, an elderly family member. One would forget. He would be he would cloak his divinity and make himself so human that you would forget that he was God, and make us feel at home as if it was a part of one big family. So there are many stories to tell. There's little time. Uh, my my grandfather and all his children were all vegetarians. He was very strict with the children, and he would not allow them to eat any meat. And if they had the opportunity, they would steal away and eat and gorge. In a wedding somewhere, they would try to hide from him, run away from him, get a seat somewhere else, and eat as much as they could of meat. So, but one day, Baba served fish in Ashiana. My grandfather was there, my mother was there, everybody was there in a line. And Baba took pomfret and slapped onto the plate. Everybody went in a line, and Baba would slap the fish on the plate. And my Nauroji and my mother were vegetarians. So even Arnavas and Nargishwar at that time. So they took the fish and they ate it. And Baba's then later on tells Nauroji, "What? You consider yourself a vegetarian? You gobbled up the whole fish?" So Nauroji says, "Baba, you gave it to us. You gave it to us from your hands. So we ate it." Baba said, "I I like it. I like what you did, but henceforth continue to do what you have been doing." So they later on, my mother, on one of her visits to Meherazad, ultimately Baba told her, they were seated for lunch, the women Mandli and her, and they were having some meat on that day. And seeing my mother's plate devoid of any meat, Baba says, why aren't you eating as the rest of them? And my mother said, "Baba, I don't eat meat." Baba says, "No, no, take some." And then from that day on, he says, "Now you start eating." These were lessons learned by them, that all of this is not important. The tub, jab, or eating meat, not eating meat, had no importance. Loving him was what was important. They would offer flowers to him, garland him. At one point, he says, "Why do you do that? Stop this. I don't want your flowers. I want your love." So, so it was a bit by bit gradual process of giving up all these rituals, you could say, or what you thought was love wasn't. What he really wanted was your deepest love for him. and everything else did not matter. So, uh, my mother got married in the end. Baba used to tell her, I'll find you the right boy, the right man, and ultimately they got married. When Jim was, my father, Jamshed, commonly known as Jim, they wrote to Baba and says, well, shall we get married? Arnavas wrote the letter because by that time the mother had died, Bachama had died. So Arnavas wrote the letter, Baba, shall we get her married to Jamshed, Jim? And Baba said yes, he chose the date and they got married. But uh, before then, my father asked my mother, so shall we marry? And my mother says, I can only marry you if Baba says yes. So he says, if he says no, then what? She says, well, that's it, it's over. So it'll entirely depend upon Baba deciding whether you be my husband. That was the first time he realized how Baba was important to her and to her family. And when Baba said, good, and the match was made and they got married, and this happened in 1948. Then they went from their honeymoon directly to Meherazad for the inauguration of Meherazad. They joined the whole group of Babalavas coming from Bombay. They joined them in Pune and then they came to Meherazad. And my father was among the whole group of people. And Baba gave him also a lot of opportunities to be with him. He was humorous, and Baba liked the humor. Baba liked his humor and kept him. One day, soon after he got married, for a whole month, he had pleurisy, an attack of pleurisy, and Baba says, come and spend 1 month with me in Meherazad. This is soon after he was married. He did not know who Baba was, what he was, but was attracted to him. So Baba kept him there. And then in the monthly hall, when they would meet in the mornings, Baba would ask him, do you love me? So he would say, I barely know you. How can I love you? So Baba appreciated his honesty, his frankness. He says, well, when I get to know you, I will love you, he said. So Baba gave him ample opportunities to come to Meherazad and to Pune, along with Nariman Dadachandji. So, of course, the three sons were born. Mervan, my elder brother, myself, and then my younger brother Saroj. Baba gave us our names each time. He named in the hospital. My mother was in the hospital having delivered the child. Baba was in Ashiana across. You couldn't see the room from where Ashiana was. The hospital was just across. So she decided to take the baby and go straight to Ashiana. And Baba put Mervan on his lap and says his name is Mervan. Something similar happened with me and my younger brother. Baba was in Ashiana. He was leaving for Meherazad. And Baba would drive down Dr. Ambedkar Road and he would stop on the opposite side. And not always would he stop the car. People, all his lovers would be standing on the opposite side of the street and waving out to Baba's car as it would pass by. But this time Baba stopped the car amongst many other times. And Baba calls over everybody and tells my mother was fully pregnant. And he snaps his finger on her belly. And that very morning, in the night she was admitted, and that morning I was born, the next morning. And he sent a telegram saying, Ganaj Premti in Nam Framroze Rakdo means with a lot of love, name him Framroze. And similarly for Sarosh. But Baba met my mother, and a day later, Sarosh was born. And he also named him Sarosh. Then he gave us ample opportunity starting to be with him. In 59, in when did Baba go to America? 58? 58. So in 1958, Baba was going to America, but was going to spend some time in Pune. So my mother thought, why don't we go spend some time in Pune? And not expecting that Baba would call them. So just breathe the air that Baba, in the same town that Baba is in. So we went to this Dharamshala, stayed there. Uh, Baba called us quite a few times. I don't recall all of that, but this is what my mother tells me. So we stayed there. Baba would ask Papa Jasawala, Eric's father, to come check on us. And we were rambunctious boys, very naughty, my brothers and myself, not so much, but my brothers especially. So, but so much so that when Papa Josawala was a very strict disciplinarian, when he saw all this, noise in the house, he says, "My, मैंने माफ कर बेअदबी माफ कर जो," means excuse my bluntness, but you do not know how to train your children. So he took out his belt and bound my brother onto a bed like that. And seeing him, of course, I started to cry, and all hell broke loose. And this story went to Baba the following day, the next day. And this kind of was a little bit of a scare for Sarosh, my younger brother. So much so that all throughout his life as a kid, they would tell him, if you don't do this, I'll call Papa Jasawala. So even once when Baba asked my father about the welfare of the boys, and my father said, Sarosh did this and he did that. And Baba says, okay, tell him next time if he misbehaves, I will pack him up. Gansaro body ne Papa Jasawala to mukli apas. Means I will bundle him up and send him to Papa Jasawala. So slowly we went to Mobos. Mobos was a very beautiful bungalow, but neglected, dilapidated, but magnificent. Tall statues, Chinese vases, and this and that, and huge big sofas and beds, 4-poster beds. And so the first time was in 1958 that we went there. 59. And we spent 3 months there, and Baba would call us over every day. Then in 1960, he did our Naujot ceremony. And again, he's come to destroy all rites, rituals, and ceremonies. And that's this very ceremony my parents asked him to perform for us. And he says yes. Why does he say yes? To please his lovers. He does everything what they want, but at the same time makes it known that this is not what he wants. So what he does, he gives us a prayer which diametrically says against these rites and rituals. And I'll just recite it out for you. This is the prayer he gave us on that day. And he says, May Aurumazda Zoroaster, Meher Baba, free you of all bindings of Shariat. and make, one second, may Aurumazda Meher Baba, may Aurumazda Zoroaster Meher Baba free you from all bindings of Shariat. May you lead a life of good thoughts, good words, and good deeds, and bestow upon you the grace of loving Baba. So he did the ceremony. We had a grand time being there. And at the same time, the prayer he gave us to perform was contrary to the very ceremonial act that he performed. But to us, it's a beautiful memory of being with him. So he allows us all this. Just these are opportunities he gives us to be with him. And it makes a fantastic story which I narrate to you all right now. So the whole of that hotel was filled with that mobos, was filled with Baba lovers. On the first floor were all the Darachanji family. You know, Nariman. Nariman would usually stay in Guru Prasad. Then his brothers, Behram, Rustam and Horshan, and their families, which is, you have them right here, Gulshan, Armaiti, the Khan family, Jimmy, Diana, Bapsy, all of us occupied this hotel. And we had grand times as kids even. We had free access to Guru Prasad, mornings, in the evenings. Then bit by bit every year the restrictions came. Only when I call you, you can come. And then people would wait for us call to come. And sometimes we would be, people would go shopping and he would call and they would miss the opportunity. And Baba said, what is this? I'm calling you and you all are out shopping. He was so displeased. So from that day on, everybody stayed in the hotel. No one would step outside the hotel. And at 5 o'clock in the evening, when Baba would retire, and everybody knew he would retire at 5, that is the time people ventured outside. We had beautiful, beautiful times there. 2.5 months, I would say, we would spend there. At the end of the stay, Baba would drive down in his car to Bun Garden Road, and then under the neem tree where Baba Jan used to sit, he would stop the car there, and people would wave goodbye to him, meet him for the last time, and then he would leave for Marasat, and everybody else returned to Bombay from. The whole Mobos hotel was filled with people from Bombay. Kambatas, I forgot to name them. Kambata family was there. Then Umrigar family was there. In the early years, Baba even would visit our hotel rooms. He would come suddenly. Everybody would be in their pajamas, and Nargish would shout, "Oh, but the car is coming!" It was a long driveway inside, and my mother with young kids, the room in a disarray, would spread some sheets over it, her sari over to hide the mess. And Baba would come inside, look around the place, and says, "Who's sleeping where?" kind of, and he would go from. So the three of us would be in that bed, my grandfather on a side bed, and Nargish and my mother on the veranda. Then he would call for drinks and chit-chat a little bit, and then he would go back. It was happy times, beautiful times, and many of us kids were up to no end of mischief over there. But we would go to Guru Prasad in the hall, Baba would be in the hall. Instead of being in the hall, we would walk out, play in the gardens, again to come back. As if it was like a family home where you came in and out, did what you wanted. Many of these were lost occasions. Now, in retrospect, as you get older, you realize, oh my God, I missed all the time when I was outside instead of being in there with him. But who knew at that time that these moments would never come again? And who knew the value of those moments? And only as an adult later on you realize, uh, oh God, what foolishness is this? And when you have the opportunity, you don't grab it. But as kids, we were innocent, probably more receptive to his love. I asked Erich once, God, how much we miss in not being, instead choosing to be outside or play or do what, any mischief we were up to. And he says, no, uh, probably that was the best time to be in his presence. Because then you are more innocent and you are receptive to his love. While an adult could be with him in his presence and be miles away thinking of other things. So this was good. And those days were happy days. Uh, Ultimately, Baba dropped this body in, for the last time. No, we went in 1968 when Baba called us for Dara Amrit's wedding and the Navjot ceremony of Mirna's, is she there? Mirna's, Rayoman, Mehruk, uh, and then celebration of Mehra's birthday. So 3 days we were there with him. Uh, who knew? 1 month later, oh yes, yes. In some years before that, Baba also performed Armaitis Navjot over there in 1963 in Pune. So So ultimately in 68, 69, Baba dropped his body and we all, for the last time, went to Mehrabad and had his darshan. I remember climbing down the steps into the crypt. Baba was laid out over there, touching his feet. And I was thinking to myself, this is the last moments in time that we will ever be able to touch him or gaze at him. We would sit by the crypt on the either side of the crypt, waving the flies away. Erich would walk in and out with slabs of ice, uh, you know, wiping off Baba's face. Ice which needed to be replaced would be done. Uh, People would come stream in and stream out, and it went on for 7 days. And finally, on the seventh day, he was interred, and everybody returned home. So glorious days, and even though today people say that Baba is not physically amongst us, his presence is as strong. He lives in our hearts. Whenever you call on him, he's there. He continues his work, and his love spreads all throughout the world. And more and more and more people flock to him. So, how am I doing on time? Am I not? Another 5 minutes. Oh. Okay. I'd like to say, since there's only 5 minutes, I'll recall one little story which my mother told me a long time ago. It was in the year 67. She was spending some time with Baba in Narazad. And out of the blue, Baba calls her and says, the only women only were there. And he says, recite this as I say. And he said, Hasjo Ramjo, Khajo Pijo, Majana Sujo, Majana Ujjo, Halimaline Rejo, Ne Maratana, Ne Babanu Nam Leta Jjo. And it was difficult for my mother to learn the lines, and then Baba would every 15 minutes, okay, recite. And she would struggle with it at first, but ultimately she got it. And throughout that trip, it was, see, I'm not very good with dates, but this was late 67 or early 68. Uh, he made her recite these lines again and again and again. It was kind of a reminder to her and to all the Manli. My time is coming near. Okay. Hasjo Ramjo, Khajo Pijo. Hasjo means laugh. Ramjo means laugh and play. Khajo Pijo means eat and drink. Majana Sujo, Majana Ujjo. Sleep, sleep well, get up well. Halimaline Rejo, live harmoniously. Maratana, don't quarrel. Baba no naam leta jajo. Keep repeating my name. It was a simple, a simple few lines, but it explains what spirituality is. Spirituality is not something where you do great feats or do tap and jump and go to the mountains and do austerities. And, no, it's simple, daily, honest living. Remembering Him in everything you do, from morning to evening. Remembering Him, making Him a part of your life in every way. You include Him as your own family member. You talk to Him, you quarrel with Him. It's all the same. It's just remembering Him which matters in the end. So, in these few lines, he's given us the essence of spirituality. You don't need to do anything more than lead your lives honestly, simply, and remember Him throughout. Every moment, include Him into your lives. So, so like, want to trust me now? There's tons of stuff, but okay. So, I'd like to now go on to the other part of what I wanted to talk to you about, and that was about Baba's trust. But there's a little segue. One day, my father was in Guru Prasad, sitting in front of Baba, and all the Mandli were busy doing their thing. And my father is saying, God, what am I doing here? I'm totally useless. I'm of no use to him. I just sit here, crack jokes, make him laugh. And that's what I do. And everybody else is always working for him. This was running through his mind. And Baba says, what are you thinking? And he says, Baba, everybody is of much use to you. I'm totally useless out here. So Baba says, are you a fool? If I had not any work with you, Not one moment can you sit in my presence, he said. Not one moment would you have the opportunity to be in my presence. What work I do, I alone know. What you see, what you think, and what I do upholds the path. In, he says, I work in ways which no one can comprehend. And that was a big lesson to my father also, that whether you do work for him or you don't do work, the one who does not do work is doing as much work as the person who is not doing any work. Ramju, Babas Mandli, he would shirk doing any work. And there were others who would be busy from morning till evening slaving away. And yet they were all working for Baba. So he has uses for everybody, and uses if you're not even working. And if you did not work for him, you would not get the opportunity of being with him. And the importance of that, told my father that you have no idea of the benefit that you have to your family, then the family beyond that. It was as if like a stone dropping into a pond of water, and the ripple effect that it takes is in, and the friends and your and he's kept on using his hands. It all extends on and on and on, because you are connected with me, and because you are here with me. Everyone then benefits. So his work, he says, it is for the sake of this divine work that the avatar periodically assumes human form. Once his work is complete, then he drops his physical body. He comes for his work, and after the work is complete, he drops his form. So, Baba, as the avatar of the age, he had a profound connection with everything in creation. Those who met him, those who think did not meet him, but may have had contact with him in their past lives. We don't know. If today you were to ask yourself, Seclusion Hill, how fortunate is that stone that makes that hill and has that contact? Or as Mani would say in the hall, there an ant crawling on a sadra. See where the connection starts. So no one over here is seated here today just by chance. No, it's the past connections that come from time after time, age after age, through lifetimes after lifetimes, to be what you are today, sitting here loving him. So, he, for this work, firstly, for his own monthly, he comes, he takes this Advent. For his chosen ones, his disciples, then he comes for the whole creation. And this work is, we cannot fathom what he does. Oh, he worked with the poor, he worked with the lepers, he had masa ashrams, he established dispensaries, he did for the Prema Ashram days, the boys that he worked with. So he established so many places, Bairamangala, Mandala. He traveled extensively under exhausting travels that he did. And for what and for whom? He would be walking down the streets and he would come into contact with people. People would suddenly be struck by his personality, look around, Who is he? And you think this random chance of people seeing him for just one second establishes that contact which goes on forever for that person. So, at all levels of creation, he touches everyone during his advent. And he creates all these temporary edifices. You know, he had the Rahuri ashram, he had one in Toka. He constructs and he dismantles, constructs and dismantles. It's a scaffolding for the inner work he has with people. He fell like Mummy and Eretz recalling in the Manli hall. He would fall ill. Sometimes they wonder why illness upon illness upon illness would befall him. And they wondered, who knows? It is to attract one doctor to come to him and visit him and examine him. He would take upon the suffering upon himself for humanity, for us, only so to get in contact. For the mass, he traveled thousands of miles in third class compartments. They would push Baba in through the windows. Look at the amount of contact he made people on the street, in the theaters, in trains and planes. One glance from him changes the destinies of people. He was giving darshan once in South India somewhere. Whole day long, people in lines would come and take darshan. Eraj is looking at the time, his watch, and he says, "Oh my God, it's getting dark." Baba at one point tells Eraj, "Stop the queue." He says, "Stop the queue." But Eraj says, "Baba, the queue is very long, and they've come from hundreds of miles to be with you. How can we stop the queue?" So Baba says, "Okay, continue." Then after about 5-10 minutes, Baba says, "Stop the queue now, it's enough." Eraj again argues with Baba. Baba says, "You have no idea. Just one glance that sweeps across the whole field where all the people had gathered, one glance is enough." Can you imagine one glance of his sweeping across the treasure prose, the treasure, the fountain of his love pours out and touches everybody. So the fortune of people being there and him giving that contact was what mattered. The contact could be physical, the contact could have been visual, but for this contact, he undergoes great lengths, and with a lot of pain to establish that with each of his loved ones. So, one day Baba explains what it meant for that one, with this one little touch, what it meant. Money comes to Baba and says, "Baba, bless these photographs." So she took out one and Baba touched it. Then she says, "No, Baba touched the box." And Mani says, "No, no, touch every picture." So she opened the box and gave one photograph at a time. And Baba is saying, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" He says, "When I touched the box, it my touch blesses not these photographs. My grace goes beyond the box, into the ground, passes at the other end of the earth and into the galaxies. I don't need to touch each photograph. So that gave some depth of understanding to money, okay, what it meant to be with him, what it means for the world when he takes Advent. And it is so vast. His grace is so vast, his love is so vast that it touches everything and everybody in creation at every level. So in 1956, 6th, I forget when now, 6th of April 1959, Baba decides to form a trust. And Ramju made a draft of the trust deed. And in that, Baba expresses his wishes as objectives of the trust. And Baba reads through everything. In fact, the original copy has all these little marks, punctuation here, as this thing scratched out, one word added there, and all having his little signature, MSI, MSI, MSI. So he went through all of this, and Baba was in Guru Prasad. And Baba came all the way to Mehrabad, and under the tin shed roof where the Gadi is, that's where the registrar was called. And Baba came and signed the trust deed. And that's how the trust was formed. What is the trust? Essentially, he named his Mandli as the trustees, and he gave his objectives. Many of the objectives are there. First being to take care of his samadhi. Then the places that he established, and many other charitable objectives to spread his message of love and truth. All these are written as points. Taking care of his Mandli members who had left everything to be with him. And all these objectives he gave to humanity. It's a legacy from him to us, and for us to uphold and nurture it, take care of it, as we would our own family member, our own child. We have to look after this trust. He has placed that trust in us to look after that. So it was a very important document for the future of his lovers. And of course, they started off with meetings in the Mandli Hall. Mandli Hall, Baba would participate in those board meetings. And most of the Mandli would doze like that, because they were not interested in all these formalities. And Baba said, you will regret these days when you are falling asleep in front of me. There will come a time when it'll come around your necks if you don't pay attention to what I'm saying right now. So that's how the first meetings began in the Mandli Hall. Then it was mostly non-operative when Baba was in his physical form. Ultimately, when he dropped his physical form, the Mandli got completely engrossed in the day-to-day activities of running the trust. Money, Eraj, Bhav, Nariman in the initial years, because he was the only man who had ran a business and knew how to conduct things. So the first 3-4 years he was, as Mani called him, he was our captain. So, but he died very young, at the age of 60, I think, in 1973. By that time, Bauji had emerged as a new, he was more than qualified to run a trust. So Bauji and Mani and Erach and Rano, they started, occupied their entire days running this trust. How much of work they put into everything, unbelievable. I've been a witness to that. And the meticulous care with which they did, unbelievable care. Uh, you know, nothing was small. Being with Baba, they had learned that everything you did, if you had to wipe this down, it had to be done with great care. Mera, like the example that Mani would give about Mera, how she would prepare a glass of water, drinking water for Baba. Any person would take a glass, maybe slightly rinse it, fill it up with water, and hand it over. No, not with Mera. She would take the glass, it would be washed with soap and water, then she would dry it out. And then with this cloth, she would do this, and with that cloth, she would do that. Then she would pour the water in. Then she would wrap the glass with wet cloth so that it would remain cool. And it would take her 15 minutes, 20 minutes to prepare one glass of water, because she did it with so much care, with so much love for him. And that is what mattered. So, in our daily work, it is not what you do that matters, but how much of love and effort you put into it, it matters. It's not the result that counts, the results are His. But this effort, 100% you pour your heart and soul into it. Erich gave an example of Erich. One day, sitting in his room, he was writing letters. Then he would stick the envelope. He would put a stamp on it. And Baba walks right in and he sees that this stamp was a little askew, not exactly straight in alignment. He says, "Is this the way you post letters to my lovers? It has to be exactly uh, from the top and from the side, exactly in a straight line. This is not how you stick stamps." These little examples showed how much even little things matter. They're not unimportant. When you do for Him, it matters. Everything matters. No detail is not important. So, again, talking about the trust, uh, but in our daily lives, we what are we to do? How are we to do? How are we to? We include Him in everything we do. We talk to Him, we visit His centers, we take care of the centers, uh, we, uh, we think of Him, we read His books, we watch movies about Him. All these things are an effort on our part to remain connected to Him. Somehow or the other, in our mundane daily lives, this little connection of remembering, thinking about Him, giving it to Him, all these things are so important for us to have in our lives. Being associated and related with His Mandli, visiting Mehrabad, visiting Mehrazad, all these are nothing but developing a connection with Him all the time. Being a part and supporting the trust also is a part of all of this. because it is given by him to us. And it is now our duty to also look after it, nurture it. So, so as much as you are from Bombay and you are associated with this center, it is your duty also to look after the center, to be a part of it, serve it in any which way. Some people perform bhajans, the other does the prayers, another one does a talk. So the center flourishes, his love is shared between lovers. It is also our duty to take care of his trust in all of this. If you support your center alone, that is not it. You have to also think that this is your child too. His trust is your child also. So do not forget in all of this that the trust needs your support. And the bountiful giver, the protector, the the one the one who sustains you and supports you, also sometimes would extend his hand for money. Why? Because he had to establish these ashrams and scaffoldings that he had for his work. And he would sometimes say, okay, we need to get Dr. Ghani out of the trouble he's in. So he says, let's create a boja fund, burden, boja. So to help out Ghani, he created a fund and he had his lovers give money to help out Ghani. So the giver of all things is the one who extends his hand also and plays that opposite role of extending his hand to us. And when people sometimes did not respond, he would say, "Chamri tute, pandamri na chute," which is like you would rather part with your skin rather than give one penny. So he would joke around and even say that. But my point finally is that take care of Baba's trust as if it was your own family, your own child. As much as your centers are important to you, so is this, which is his legacy to us. Okay. Avatar Mer Baba Ki Jai. Now Gopi will give you some short graphic on the trust activities and about the trust financial situation.
अवतार मेहर बाबा की जय. I'll just try to recap the objectives that beloved Baba has given in the trust deed, which of the trust that he has established. And I know that many of us know about all the activities that happen or that take place at Mehrabad, Mehrazad, in the school, the dispensary. But many of us may not know the details about those activities and the extent of the work that happens in the trust. So this information is just a summary to help us all know about those details, and it is our duty and responsibility to know about what happens in our trust. And as our chairman has said, this is Baba's trust, and it has to be owned by each one of us. So it's a responsibility for all of us to know the details about the activities that take place to fulfill the objectives that our beloved has given to us as a legacy in his trust deed. So this is just an effort to summarize all that information. I will not repeat about this slide. As we know, Baba's trust was established, and Baba signed the trust deed after he has very carefully gone through every word, every line, and made corrections, um, and ensured that every word that is there in the trust deed has been approved by him. So that deed was registered at Mehrabad under the tin shed by beloved Baba in the presence of the sub registrar of Ahmednagar. On April 6th, 1959, Baba signed the trust deed, and as the avatar of the age, he signing the document gives the force for his work to continue forever, even after he drops his body. So this is for all of us to work for his cause, to fulfill those objectives that we see in the trust deed. Moving on, this is the summary of the objectives that Baba has given in the trust deed. While there are many objectives, but these bullet points summarize uh, the main objectives of the deed. One, the most important one, is to preserve beloved Baba's tomb shrine, his samadhi, and all these sacred sites that are associated with him at Mehrabad, at Mehrazad, and Mehernazar at the trust office. And number two is to provide facilities for his lovers who visit Mehrabad and Mehrazad, and all the pilgrims who come. And as we see, the number of pilgrims has increased very much from the last few years. And I'm sure, and as we all know, once Baba said, after 70 years of my dropping the body, this place will become a place of great pilgrimage. So there's no doubt that the number of pilgrims will keep increasing, and in a very fast pace. So it is our responsibility to provide the basic facilities for his lovers, who come to visit him and take his darshan, and to disseminate his message of love and truth. As we all know, Baba has given in his trust deed the various ways that we can disseminate and we can spread his message of love and truth and his name far and wide. There are many ways that Baba has given by arranging melas, like we do Amar Tithi and other anniversaries of Baba events, and by giving talks at various places, visiting the places that where he worked, and to publish the words that he has given to the humanity in the form of books and articles, and make them available to the humanity, and various other ways wherein we have to disseminate his message of love and truth by making films, by doing plays, etc. And again, the last important one is the charitable activities that Baba has given as a very important objective for the trust to fulfill. So the key activities that we do in the trust are giving the medical facilities for the poor and the needy. Similarly, the educational facilities that we provide, and also other ways to help the poor and the general public in the villages and in the rural areas near Ahmednagar. So we'll just go through briefly about the medical facilities and the educational facilities that we provide in the trust to the poor and the needy. And they come from various villages around Ahmednagar, around 50 odd villages or even more than that. So we'll just go through some numbers and see what is done in the dispensary, hospital, and in the school. So, first for the medical facilities, as we all know, there is this. We have Meher Health Center in Arangaon on the Don Road. As we go out onto the Don Road from Baba Samadhi, you take right and you see the Meher Health Center there. This was the place where the family quarters were there in the past during Baba's time, and this health center provides free allopathic, Ayurvedic, and homeopathic medication treatment to around 40,000 patients annually who come from many villages around Ahmednagar. We have around 80 villages actually, and then 21 staff members work there, and out of whom 7 qualified doctors that include general practitioners, gynecologists, dentists, um, ophthalmologists. So all these OPDs are there, outpatient departments are there in the health center, and we it really benefits a lot to all those villagers and all those who cannot afford the expensive medication. By Baba's grace, we are able to provide this to all of them. So 40,000, approximately 40,000 patients annually come and take the advantage of this facility. And we there is a very well equipped laboratory in the dispensary. All the lab tests are done free of cost, and all the medication is free. We give all the good medicines, the best medicines possible to all the patients free of cost. And then Meher Hospital, as we know, which is there near the auditorium, the our theater at Meherabad, or the Hostel A, as we call it. So the hospital is there, and then there are 120 free cataract surgeries that are done every year. Again, this is for the poor and needy who cannot afford expensive treatments. And then we have the Meher Homeo Dispensary at Meherabad, which was established on the request of Dr. Abdul Ghani, and Baba approved that. And this dispensary started way back in 1936, and it was originally near Baba's Jhopdi, and then a new dispensary was set up after that. So even there we have very experienced doctors who provide homeopathy treatment. Around 4,000 plus patients visit there also. So these are some pictures for you in case you have not seen the health center at Meherabad, Arangaon. On your next visit to Meherabad, please visit this, and then it will give us a very good idea about what happens there and what does our trust do to the villagers and the needy there. These are the cataract operations, the pharmacy, and the laboratory. Now, moving on to the educational facilities, Meher English School is a primary facility that we have in the trust, and again, this school is onto the left side of the Don Road. So when we go from Meherabad to Don, before we go to the Arangaon Chowk, there is a lane that goes onto the left, and we have this beautiful school that was established in 1986. So this is we give free primary and secondary education from classes lower kindergarten to 10th, and we have around 500 plus students from around 40 villages, and also in and around Ahmednagar, boys and girls who study in this school, and many students from Baba's school, you know, have scaled up um, great heights. And there was one student who got admission into the Grant Medical College here in Bombay, and that boy studied in Baba's school, Meher English School. And there are many, there are people who are into great ranks in the Indian Army, and and into IT. So I'm sure the benefit every student gets by studying in Baba's school is really immense. So we have a staff of 37 in the school. Out of them, we have 21 qualified teachers who give the education. We also provide bus transportation to the children. Scholarships are given uh, to the children, and then we also distribute notebooks to the identified children who cannot afford buying them. And there is assistance provided to the children of our staff who work for the trust, also in form of um, money or books or whatever they need. We have implemented the e-learning, the computer-based learning recently, which is being appreciated by the students. There is a constant effort to improve the standard of education. By Baba's grace, we'll keep doing more and more to make it the best school in and around Ahmednagar. There are excellent science labs and the computer labs in the school, and the number of students is increasing now. Once they hear about the standard, about the reputation of the school, I'm sure will have more requests coming in, and we have to scale up our operation, our educational facility, which will require a lot of infrastructure and also money, of course. Now, apart from the school, we also provide educational help to students from other public schools um, of around 12 lakhs per year. We give the educational help in various forms, as I mentioned. It can be scholarship or books or any other way. We give this help to approximately 15 independent schools, around Ahmednagar, in the Ahmednagar district. And we also provide scholarships, as I said, to around 60 plus students every year. We also know that we have a physical education center, a gym, and a akhada, and other facilities for the youngsters, to come and improve their physical health. These students also go and enroll themselves into the police department, into the army, into the Indian Army. So this basic training has really helped many students from the villages to get into various departments like police and army. These are some photographs of the school, and in the recent years, we have made many improvements in the school. Like we have put the flooring on the ground, where earlier the little children had to sit on the earth. Now they have these tiles, where they can sit more comfortably and have their lunch. And also we are working now to replace the roof, which is 40 years old, and it's a tin roof, which can be very hot during the summer. We are now changing the roof with insulated panels, which will reduce the temperature at least by 8 degrees, thus giving more comfort to the little children and to the staff. So these are various activities that happen in the school, be it sports day or the annual day, various cultural activities. So moving on, I'll just give a quick summary of the recent developments that have happened in the trust in the last few years. As you all would have seen, we have done the renovation of Hostel D. Again, Hostel D had a asbestos roof, which was very hot, which used to get hot in the summer. We have replaced the roof with puff panels, as they're called, which again give good insulation. And now when we stay in the hostel, even during summers, it's very comfortable. So this is an expensive roof, but it is now giving a lot of convenience and comfort to Baba lovers who come. And then we have done the renovation of bathrooms and toilets, and also have built two new blocks of bathrooms and toilets near Hostel D for men and women, which you would have seen during Amar Tithi. Um, and the MPC that we know, Meher Pilgrim Center, the roof, as we know, is a very old one from the early 80s. It is now getting replaced and repaired. The organic farming at Lower Mehrabad, we are now growing our own vegetables and grains at Lower Mehrabad in a very organic way. And the vegetables and grains that come from that are being used at the MPR kitchen and the hostelry kitchen. So we don't have to depend. Once we scale up to that requirement, we don't have to depend and buy vegetables from outside. We will have our own. And then on-grid solar panels to reduce the electricity bills, which is the major expenditure for the trust, apart from the salaries to the staff that we have. So in order to reduce the electricity bill, solar panels were installed earlier at the MPR and later at Lower Mehrabad, and very recently at Mehrazad also. So this is helping us to reduce the electricity bill drastically, and at Mehrazad it is almost nil now. So Baba has helped us to get this done. Underground storm water pipeline. So as we know, when it rains heavily, the water can storm in the low-lying areas. So there was an underground storm water drain that was done at Lower Mehrabad. And then the restoration of the graves of Baba's disciples on the hill. So where we have the graves of Elizabeth Patterson and other disciples of beloved Baba. So the restoration of those graves was done recently. And also coming to the trust office, the restoration and renovation of the roof and the trellis at the veranda. That was an activity that was undertaken, I think, approximately a year ago, and it is now 80% done, and it is still in progress. So this again, after this, there is an electrification work or the renovation of the electric work that is to be done. So again, all this takes a lot of money, but because these are very old buildings, and we have to restore them in the same way like they were during Baba's time. So that's a very important work that is being done. And as you know, we have implemented the UPI payment at the MPR and Hostel D for Baba lovers to pay easily using their phones with Google Pay or Phone Pay or whatever. And then in the last 2 years, we have started a WhatsApp group for all Baba centers. So it's an official WhatsApp group from the trust. It's called AMBPPCT Ahmednagar. And all the representatives, secretaries, presidents of Baba centers across India were added into the group. And all the articles from Tavern Talk or any circulars from the trust or any important messages are being broadcasted or are being sent on this WhatsApp group. And we are requesting all the center representatives to cascade this information to the Baba lovers in their respective centers and groups. So this is a way, and we are also translating all these articles and all the messages and circulars into Hindi and Telugu, which is proved very helpful for disseminating the information and the beautiful articles about Baba's Baba's things, be it his court or anything that is there, or the archival material. All these important articles are being translated into Hindi and Telugu, so that Baba lovers in India across the villages and the rural areas are able to know about all this information. So this is something that was done in the last 2 years, and it's still happening. Now, coming to the upcoming projects and upcoming developments that are proposed in the next few years, a new dining hall for Hostel D is planned, because now the old dining hall, which has served us for many decades, is not enough. Almost now every weekend or during Dhuni we have Baba lovers in hundreds, and the existing facility is not enough to cater and to give convenience to all Baba lovers who come. So we are going to build a new dining hall adjacent to the current dining hall near Hostel D. And the renovation of Hostel C, again, it's a very old structure. The roof is leaking, so we have to repair that. And again, it's a huge area. So the Hostel C renovation, and also the renovation of the pilgrim education site, the new site, that, as we call it, where we give accommodation to pilgrims during Amar Tithi. So even that is in the pipeline. And as I said, the replacement of the 40-year-old roof for the school, which is a very important activity, which will start in April during the summer vacation, and which has to be completed by June when the school reopens. We have school buses which are very old. We have to purchase them. We have to replace them. Every bus will cost around 30 lakhs easily. So huge expenditure there. But we have to now replace the 6 buses that we have, because they have all are going to near the expiry of their life. And then very important activity that we still have to we have done to some extent, but there is a lot of work that is to be done for fencing the land, for securing Mehrabad, Mehrazad, especially Mehrabad, where we have the lands, Upper Mehrabad, Lower Mehrabad, which we have to secure from illegal occupation, and to keep our lands safe. So there's a lot of work, and it's a very expensive project, but this is really required to guard the lands of the trust, and to implement the master plan that we have. We have to acquire land, and acquiring land these days, we all know how expensive it is again, but that's a very important activity to ensure the land around Mehrabad and Mehrazad is all belonging to us, and there are no other constructions that happen which will hamper our or which will provide give a hindrance to the master plan that we have. And then we have to build new staff quarters at Upper Mehrabad. As we know, unfortunately, we had restrictions for non-Indians that they cannot stay at Lower Mehrabad. So we had to move many of them to Upper Mehrabad. And the staff quarters that we have up there are not enough. So there's an urgent need to build these staff quarters, more staff quarters at Upper Mehrabad. And there's a plan to get a new water supply pipeline from Ahmednagar, so and to give water to our trust and also to the village. And a new water reservoir at Upper Mehrabad. We need more reservoirs there. And again, we are looking to install solar power panels at the school and the dispensary. And very important archival activity is to install underground electric electric lines, you know, so that we don't see the wires going, you know, in front of, say, Meher Retreat, you know, and other buildings that we have at Mehrabad. So to keep it the way it was during Baba's time, we want to make it look as natural as possible. So one of the activities that is uh, that is in the plan is to make underground electrical lines across Mehrabad. And for Mehrazad also, there are repairs required for the water reservoirs, you know, and again, it takes huge amount of money. And also, we have to construct a new workshop and a store at Mehrazad and at some point in the upcoming years. So these are some of the activities or some of the development projects that are in pipeline. And to end with this slide, so this gives us an idea about the financials. And again, it is just for our information. As Baba lovers, we need to know about our trust and what it takes to fulfill all these objectives and all these projects that are required. Our average increase in income over the last 5 years, if it was at the rate of 0.79%, our average increase in operational expenditure over the 5 years is almost 6%. So 0.79% versus 6%. So the income is less and expenditure is more, obviously. So you can see the graph of how it is there. And the estimated growth in income over the next 5 years, looking at the current average rate of increase, is around 50 crores, and the estimated operational expenditure is around 57 crores. So that will not give us an idea, but you can see the average increase in income is less, and the average increase in expenditure is huge. And to do all these projects and to keep the corpus enough so that we get the interest out of the corpus, which we use for our revenue expenditure, our daily expenditures, be it giving salaries to our 300 plus staff, and paying electricity bills, or medicines, which cost around 1 crore per year for the dispensary at Mehrazad, and again same cost for the health center at Mehrabad, and for giving free education to 500 plus students, paying salaries to the staff, maintaining the infrastructure, school buses. So to do all these projects that we saw in the earlier slide, we need, and to keep a corpus fund so that we keep our finance strong, and we don't. As of now, we are eating into the corpus because of various reasons. Like, we don't have the donations from abroad from the last few years because of the FCRA registration that was, you know, that did not get renewed. So by Baba's grace, we should get it soon, but we don't know when. So, but in the last few years, there have been no donations from abroad like in the past. So we have to keep the corpus strong so that during any emergency we have enough money to sustain the activities that are there. We cannot stop the dispensary, we cannot stop the school, we cannot stop giving facilities to pilgrims. Whatever might happen, it could be pandemic, it could be anything, but we still have to run our activities. So we need our corpus to be safe, and we use the interest out of the corpus to run the daily activities and for our operational expenses. So to keep the corpus enough to get the right amount of interest and to do all the projects that we have seen in the earlier slide, we need in the next 5 years, what we need is around 56 crores. That amounts to 11 crores per year. So that is our requirement today, and I don't think we are anywhere close to that, but by Baba's grace, we will get there. So this is that's it from my side, and this is again just to give us all the information which we must know according to me, as Baba lovers, as his lovers, and we are the only ones, whom on whom he will depend. He will depend on, like as our chairman said, Baba will look only to his lovers, though he is the giver, and but again, there are instances where he will ask for support from his own lovers. And there are various ways to donate, which I'll not cover now. So there is an app that we all know, the AMBPPCT donation app, which is a very easy way to donate on the phone, using the UPI or online transfer. And there are ways to auto debit, or to subscribe for monthly or quarterly or yearly donations, or a one time donation also. And there are other ways to do online transfer using NEFT and RTGS. And there are ways to donate by giving legacies, that is, writing a will, giving I don't know what, like it is called, yeah. So when we can donate um, our property or whatever we want to in the will deed. So that is also another way of doing the donation. So for any questions, we're all there at any point, in case you have a question or any issue uh, in donating to the trust. Feel free to reach out. And lastly, the trust also has registered for the CSR funds. So that is corporate social responsibility, as it is called. So every um, organization, or even banks, they have a mandate from the government that some percentage of their profits have to be donated to the charity. So the trust has registered for this, for receiving the CSR funds. So if any of us here know of any contacts in any companies or or organizations who give CSR donations, they can reach out to us, and that will be a big help. As Baba said, his work is our opportunity. So it's up to us to take that opportunity and be of use to in his work and his cause. Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai.
So, just to conclude, what Gopi has mentioned and what Falubai mentioned is a fairly detailed situation of the trust currently. And अगर आपने जो स्लाइड उन्होंने रखी थी यहाँ पर, उसमें अगर आपने ध्यान दिया होगा तो करंटली जो इनकम उनकी आ रही है, इट इज़ 0.8%, whereas expenditure is around 6%. And there is a huge gap. The inflow of funds has stopped because the government of India has not given them permission to take in donations from outside India, which is controlled under a specific law. So therefore, to cut the long story short, as Falubai very rightly mentioned, this is a legacy that Baba has given us, and it is our responsibility to support. Now, the Bombay Centre, when we came to know about this situation a few months back, the Board of Trustees took this decision that the centre will donate every month rupees 25,000, effective 1st of December 2024. This decision has been taken effective 1st December 24. And at the same time, anybody is free to donate this amount to the centre. We will collect it as a separate account that has been kept, and we then deposit the check into the centre's, into the trust's account. So we have been collecting money for the last 3 months. So that option is available. In case if you wish to give a one-time amount, you can either download the app of the trust and pay, or you can pay to us. We will give you a formal receipt in the name of the Avatar Meher Baba Bombay Centre, and that amount that gets collected every month gets deposited into the trust. So there are, if you wish to donate on a monthly basis, you can do so. If you wish to give something one time, you can do so. But we will continue this effort as we go forward. And as Gopi also rightly mentioned, the trust has registered for the CSR funds. Every company is supposed to give 2% of its profit every year. If it makes profits, 2% of the profit goes into corporate social responsibility projects. So the trust receives CSR support from some companies. If anybody has any contact in any organization, please feel free to come forward and let us know. So this is the broad snapshot of, and to summarize everything that has been presented. Uh, the way we had planned this session was for Falubai to come and share his stories, not just share his stories, but also talk about this very, very important work of maintaining and running the trust, which has come out as a legacy from Baba, because that is beloved Baba. It has come out of his last will and testament as well. So this is the snapshot. My sincere thanks on our behalf to our Falubai for coming here, and to Gopi for coming here. Thank you very, very much for honoring this invitation on our behalf. Thank you very much. And please, if you can, Bemin, please. These are Center's publications, books, Center's publications on our behalf. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Thank you for coming. Jai Baba. Jai Baba. We will end the program with beloved Baba's Aarti. Next Sunday, we have Rajat Mishra and his brothers. They will be coming and singing over here. So please be there for the program. Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai. Please be standing for the Aarti.
बुझावे नार चलत नी कर कुद रत्ने फरमातु छलागी आश भक्तों ने के बख्शे नूरे मातु अया मुर्शद मेहर बाबा चरण पर तुष्ण धरिए सर खुदा ना जात दीवा के फथई में ठो मेहर बातू तुझे मालिक हकीकत नो तू आशिक भी ने आरिफ भी तुझे दरियाए वहदत मारिफत नो होई तूफान तू हमोर है रब ने ऐसा लेक बकश जे ज्ञान ईजदनु के तू परमात्मा ज्ञानी छने मो हारे इरफातु खुदा ना प्रेम नो प्यालो पिलावी मस्त हमने कर छे तुझ पर जान सदके साकिया पीदे पयमातु हमारी नाव भर दरिए तरावे तो हमें तरिए हमारा ना खुदा ए मेहर बाबा छेनी गे बातू हमारा ना खुदा ए मेहर बाबा छेनी गे बातू बुझावे नार जलतनी एकर कुद रत्ने फरमातु छलागी आश भक्तों ने के बख्शे नूरे मातू। अवतार मेहर बाबा की जय, अवतार मेहर बाबा की जय, अवतार मेहर बाबा की जय।